All right. So we talked about bid as a what it means, bid as a keyword, right? Now, Google offers you different types of bidding strategies. Google has some manual strategies and Google has some automated bidding strategies. All right. So before we deep dive into bidding strategies, I just want to very quickly give you a rundown on how the interface looks like, especially for beginners. If you are somebody who's already familiar with Google Ads interface, you can quickly forward it and meet me midway. All right. So let me just quickly open this is a dummy account, Google Ad interface. Okay. Once you click on new campaign, this is how it is going to look like. These are something that you have already seen, right, in the previous slides. So I'm going to create a campaign, let's say a search campaign, and I'm going to select an I want website clicks. Give me a dummy domain here, hello.com. Okay, so this is to tell Google that what am I looking out of? If I'm running a search campaign, do I want website visits? Do I want app downloads with a download call to action button, or do I want phone calls? So for this demonstration, I'm going to tick website visits. Okay, and once you select here, Google will give you multiple options in terms of which all networks do you want to run your ads on. You might be thinking that it is only google.com or google.co.in. That's not true, because Google has multiple search partners like other search engines, and Google can run the same text ad in the text ad that you see in display network as well. So we generally go about disabling this if I'm setting up a search campaign. There are different use cases where we go about enabling this as well, but generally most of us we disable this. But I've seen a lot of people disabling this as well, but we don't in most of the cases, because a search engine is a search engine. Other search engine may not have as much of volume as Google, but they're definitely a search engine. They're still solving a very similar problem where people have questions, they go to that search engine and type, and you should be running an ad there as well. All right. So these are a few regular settings which you will find in most of the ad dashboards. Okay, let me just close this. Most of the ad dashboards, which is location, do you want to target a specific country, a specific city, and even you can go really deep with Google. Google offers you radius targeting as well. For example, let me just say select one pin code of mine. This is the pin code that I live in. Okay. So and once I click this, Google will give me this kind of an option. Most of the pin codes have improved. Earlier this pin code targeting was really bad, but Google's pin code targeting has greatly improved. So you should be able to find most of the popular pin codes at least. But the other way of doing this is, you can actually look up a place. For example, what do I look up in Bangalore? UB City. Okay, UB City is one of the popular malls, luxury malls in Bangalore. Let's say if I'm really going after high net worth audience, I would want to target an area like Vital Malia Road. This is where most of the millionaires and billionaires hang out in Bangalore, right? So as soon as I select their location, Google has put the circle, but it has kind of targeted the entire Bangalore and beyond. It goes all the way up to Nelabangla, which is say 50, 60 kilometers away from Bangalore, all right? So this is because you have set the radius as 20-mile radius. That 20-mile radius is massive. Okay. Whenever we go for radius targeting, at best, we go for 2 kilometers, not more than that. Okay. So I'm going to change that to 2 kilometers. I don't know why it is not changing. See me a minute. I have to put the location first and then select UB City and 2 kilometers. Now, as you can see, it is zoomed in. It is going to target 2 kilometers circumference. You can't draw a square or rectangle here. It is always a circle. It is a circumference. Which kind of businesses use this? If you have a retail location, if you have a physical location, then you can do that. Or people like us, if you have to go after specific audiences, we do this as well. For example, if I'm selling an expensive product and only a high net worth individual can afford, we usually go ahead and target the affluent areas. There is Vital Malia Road, there is Vasant Nagar, there is Koramangala. These are all different areas in Bangalore, right? There's Chennai, Anna Nagar. You will have multiple areas like this. In every city, right? There are pockets of neighborhoods where rich people live, high net worth individuals live, and this way of targeting is really, really powerful, right? Because you're not really leaking a lot of money. That picking and choosing a very specific audience. Anyway, I mean, this is another way of going about targeting a location. Now, one of the rookie mistakes I would say people make is they select the first option because Google wants you to select the first option. Okay. What this means is, you're not really targeting people who are living in the location, but you're actually showing your ads to people who are interested in that location as well. Now, interested is what? Let's say I'm in Bangalore and I wanted to hire a cab, let's say in Bombay, or rent a house in Bombay. Sitting in Bangalore, I can actually search for Mumbai, right? Or Bombay, whatever you want to call it. Google will show these ads to me in Bangalore. Let's say if you are that kind of an advertiser, you want to target people in Mumbai, if you select this option, the ads will get shown to me in Bangalore because I've expressed interest in that location, which is okay, which is fairly okay. But if you're, let's say if you're delivering something and you're not really delivering to that, or if you have a physical location, physical business that you're promoting, then you really don't want to select this, right? Because even though I'm interested in something in Mumbai, I'm not going to drive there immediately, right? And hence, if you're expecting somebody to take an action, the best option for you to choose is people who are in this location. At least people who are living here and people who are regularly visiting this location would be an ideal one. You can run a global campaign as well. Let's say something let's say if you're in medical tourism, you're a hospital and you're in medical tourism. You would want all the different visitors who are coming to India for medical tourism to be looking at your ad. Then this one makes more sense, only this. You can exclude India and you can run it for the rest of the world. And, with this option, you can actually tell that whoever is interested in coming to medical tourism for India, sure, I don't care which country they're coming from, right? So there are different use cases and hence Google has built this. But the most favorite thing, where you can have better control over your campaign is always this option, right? And you can always exclude the other one if you don't want to. You can target people by language, but in most of the cases, we go with English, right? With specific language targeting, there has been a few use cases in my career as well. To give you an example, if you take a country, like United States, or you take UK for that matter, in EU, there are multiple languages apart from English which are widely spoken, right? Even if you take a country like India, right, there is Hindi and there are some Telugu, Tamil, Kannada. All of these are majorly spoken languages, right? If I have to target a specific language speaking people, then it makes sense. Otherwise, the best option for you to go with is English, right? When we promote B2B ads, we typically go for some local language speaking people as well. If you're running it in, let's say, Germany or Japan, we go for that specific language targeting. Yeah. And audiences are, this is what we call as core audiences. Whenever I mention core audiences, you need to remember these are audiences offered by the platform, ready-made audiences. Okay. And it would be a no-brainer to use something like this because Google has a strong understanding of their audience. When you're running Facebook ads, you usually select conversions, right? And you trust Facebook to find the right people for you. Google has equal amount of understanding, if not better, about the audiences. So make use of these audiences that Google gives to you by default. For example, let's say if you're selling something to do with fitness, you can actually select this audience. Now, why do you have to select an audience here? You may, end of the day, when you're running Google ads, you're bidding on keywords, right? And you would want to show up every time when somebody is searching for that keyword. But what Google offers a filter. Look, don't show up every time. Show up for an audience, who could potentially convert and not for the keyword, right? Let me repeat this again. For example, let's say if you're selling a fitness watch or something like that, you can actually select this audience and then bid on the keywords as well. Your targeting becomes narrower and more accurate, right? That is all. Because not necessarily only fitness enthusiast is searching for a fitness watch. I'm not a fitness enthusiast yet, but I have bought a fitness watch, right? But if you have a product that suits only a specific audience, you can actually go for this. Similarly, there are shoppers. If you're an online website, e-commerce website, this becomes a no-brainer. So you can make use of this audience, and you can also include custom audiences as well. There is something called Audience Manager that Google offers, very similar to audiences that Facebook offers, right? Where you go build lookalike, where you do custom targeting and stuff like that. So Google has a very similar interface. See, these are called audience lists, and some default options are always provided by Google. And apart from that, you can actually create your own custom audiences as well. This is website visitors. Facebook gives you this. App users, Facebook gives you this. YouTube users cannot be given by Facebook. So if you want to target YouTube users, you can do that. If you have your own custom list of email addresses, you can use this option to build your list, or you can use a custom combination, which is a combination of one or two of these. If you remember our week 1 module, we talked about curated audiences, and that is this, where you can use a combination of two audiences, which you think is going to work very well. Yeah. So yeah, coming back to the interface, I wanted to spend some time on this area, which is why I wanted to show you, uh, this interface in bidding specifically, right? So here is where you put your daily budget. Google has recently introduced a monthly budget as well. Bidding is what we are going to be focusing on now. Now, when it comes to bidding, Google gives you multiple options, and generally we don't select these options that Google gives. We select a bid strategy, right? I go for a bid strategy. Then here, there are a few options that Google gives you. Like there are some automated bid strategies and there are some manual bid strategies. There is only one, in fact. A manual bid strategy is manual CPC, and automated bid strategies are multiple, which is what we are going to be discussing today, at least at this moment. Yeah. So let me quickly go back to bidding strategies. Okay. So this is exactly the screenshot that you looked at in the interface, very latest interface, where you have a bunch of automated bid strategies and one manual bid strategy. Okay. Now this is a table that I made, in order to explain what these bid strategy means. When should you be using it? And what kind of a business objective, and what are the drawbacks of each of these? We will talk about pros and cons of this. The first one is manual CPC. You go for this bid strategy when you want to have control over your bid, which means when you very clearly tell Google that this is the maximum that I can pay for a click. So that's manual CPC. Generally, this bidding strategy is used when you want to drive website traffic, website conversions. You can, but it has become slightly not user friendly. It is very cumbersome to manage. Imagine you are running hundreds and thousands of campaigns. For you to be setting up manual CPC and adjusting the CPCs becomes a painful job. So it is cumbersome to manage, and it doesn't scale the way you want to. If you can scale these campaigns, but when you are scaling it, you will have to invest a lot of manpower in terms of adjusting bits. Okay. If you really want to go for manual CPC, you can opt for this better version. You can opt for a manual CPC plus enhanced CPC. Here is where you give control to Google to move the bid up and down. Let's say, let's have a common example to explain this table. Your manual bid for manual CPC bid is 5 rupees. Okay. And when you go for an enhanced CPC, this is usually a checkbox offered by Google. When you go for that, Google can go to 7 rupees. If Google thinks that it can get you a conversion, Google can go to 4 rupees, but that very rarely happens. Google will go to 7, Google will go to 8. While you are giving that control to Google, you're not really limiting Google to go above and beyond, right? But what Google will try and do with this strategy is, it might get you a conversion at a higher CPC, but at the end of the day, when you're evaluating the campaign, your average CPCs, the average cost that you would have incurred for the clicks, would have been around that manual CPC that you had set. Okay. So it is still manual, but slightly automated in a way, because you're giving control to Google to move the bid up or down. I think in my perspective, this is a better way of doing, even if you're a manual person, this is a better way of, bidding. Now this can again solve the same objective, website traffic and conversions. But the only thing is, your costs can sometimes, go up and down. Sometimes, you'll be worried that, Google has spent so much for a click. If you're really a cost conscious business, this may be a problem, but, so far it hasn't, been a big problem for us, whenever we have opted for enhanced CPC. Now, these are the manual way of, bidding strategy, and everything else we are going to be discussing today is all automated bid strategies that Google has introduced to make things easier for advertisers. For example, the first option, automated strategy, is maximizing clicks. Here, we are telling Google, I'm going to give you a budget, and I want you to get as many clicks as possible within that budget. I don't care about how much you're spending per click. 1,000 rupees is my budget, and I'm going to give you the control. Get me as many clicks as possible. Now, what Google will try and do, it will try and get you a click at the best cost possible. It will win the auction for you. It will keep the cost in mind. It will try and get the click at the best cost available for that auction. Okay. Now, this is a great strategy from a website traffic perspective. If you're really looking at generating a lot of brand visibility, a lot of traffic to your website, you can do that. But the problem is it has the potential. There is a possibility of junk traffic coming in, because Google will literally use every opportunity. It will not really optimize for the conversion action that you want, but it can actually get potential junk traffic. Okay. The next strategy is maximize conversion. Same as maximize clicks, but just that instead of clicks, it is conversions. What you're telling Google, get me as many conversions as possible within the budget that I have given you. Now, business objective use case here is, it can get you conversions, but the drawback here is, no control over costs, because let's say if you want to achieve a conversion at a certain cost, and it is not an ideal bidding strategy. Okay. Because, Google, let's say if you're selling a product for about $500 and you cannot afford a conversion cost of more than 100 rupees, you cannot really control that here. Google will go above. It might even spend 500 rupees. It might spend even the daily budget of 1,000 rupees to get you that 500 rupee customer, right? So this is used when you want to maximize the conversion, where you don't really want to worry about the costs, because we often use this as well, because there are other bidding strategies which can work pretty well if your account is generating enough conversions. And if you're struggling to get conversions out of Google, then we let the control, we give the control to Google, get us as many conversions as possible. We learn from that, and then we go for different bidding strategies. Okay. So the next one is maximizing conversion value. Too good to be true, kind of a bidding strategy. It is same as above, but instead of conversions, we are asking them to get me as much of ROI as possible. Okay, which means what I'm trying, here what Google will try and do, apart from getting the conversions, it will get high ticket conversions, which means, instead of going after customers who will transact 500 rupees with you, Google will look for customers who will transact higher with you, 1,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees, right? It is too good to be true kind of a strategy, but the thing is, it has its own drawback, the cost control. What is the point of making additional money when the cost per acquisition is also very high? To make 2,000 rupees as a revenue, if you end up spending 2,000 rupees to acquire that customer, it doesn't make any business sense, right? So the problem here is cost control. The next automated strategy is target CPA. This is actually one of the better bidding strategies that Google has to offer, where you want to keep a control of your customer acquisition cost, not necessarily customer acquisition cost, acquisition cost. An acquisition could be an ebook download, a landing page form fill, an app download. All of this is acquisition. It is not necessarily a customer who's paying money. Okay. Acquisition is a user performing an action that you desired. Here we can actually set, saying that, look, I can afford to spend 100 rupees. If Google thinks that it may not be able to get you a customer at 100 rupees, your ads won't even run properly. That's one of the major drawbacks. And it is a pretty good bidding strategy, especially when you're running Google ads for some time, where Google have enough understanding of your audience and you are constantly generating conversions. Target CPA can be a pretty good strategy to keep control of your cost. You will tell very clearly Google, I cannot afford more than this XX amount to get a customer, right? Good strategy. Target ROAS, again, a too good to believe kind of a strategy, where you tell Google, I want a certain ROAS. I want 10x ROAS, or in this case, it is percentage. It is not like Facebook. In Google's case, ROAS is in percentage, whereas Facebook, it is usually measured in X. To give you an example, it will be 200% in Google, whereas on Facebook, it will be 2x. Okay, so that's the difference. But otherwise, it means the same thing. It is just a way of representation is different. Okay. Now, target ROAS sounds too good to be true, where you tell Google that how much ROI you want. And many people think that, why wouldn't you go for only this, right? Because I can tell Google I can spend 100 rupees. I want you to get me 2000% ROI, right? Which means get 20x the ROI. You can do that, but it doesn't really work that way. For this strategy to work, first of all, your account need to be generating enough conversions. in a given duration. In about 30 days duration, Google recommends 15 minimum 15 conversions to happen. But from what we have observed, we recommend you to at least have 30 conversions before you change for this strategy. Now the problem is, if Google thinks it will not, you can tell Google whatever you want, that you want 2000% ROI or 5000% ROI. But if Google thinks that it won't be able to get you a customer who can transact that much, your ads won't run, right? So problem is scale. Though you want as many customers as possible and transacting as much as you want, but it is not the ideal world, right? So if you have enough amount of conversions happening, you can have a parallel campaign working on this bidding strategy, which is, target return on ad spend, and be reasonable in asking Google. If you feel a 4x will help you break even, 400%, return on ad spend will help you break even, start with that, then slowly increase. Or you can be a little more unreasonable with Google. Tell them, look, 4x is my break even cost. It'll be great if we make 6x. Okay, so you give 600% as a target ROAS and see if your campaign is running. If your campaign is running, either you need to reduce your expectation or you need to change the bidding strategy. Google is one of the smartest companies in the world, right? So this can actually potentially get you conversions as well. And Google will try its best to identify customers, who will transact with you, uh, on a certain figure that you have defined. So scale is the main problem here. It will not run at the scale that you want it to. Okay. The final one is target impression share. This bidding strategy is mostly used by, market leaders, companies that needs a lot of branding. So here is where you tell Google that, get me as much as visibility as you can. If you set your target impression share as 100%, Google will try and win every auction to show your brand at the top. Sometimes you have wondered, look, I'm bidding so much and I'm still not able to beat my competition, because your competition might be, running it on target impression share. They don't really worry about costs. They just want to be the brand that is most visible. Now, a specific example for this, if a brand wants to run ads for their own brand name, for example, if Swiggy is running an ad for their own keyword so that Zomato doesn't take Swiggy's customer, they might be going for target impression share, because they have built a good amount of brand value and they definitely don't want that to be losing it to a customer, and they want the highest impression share for their brand name, and they will go for this kind of a strategy. All right. So the advantage is branding, but the drawback here is cost control, which means it can go to, it'll have absolutely no control in terms of how much you're ending up paying for a click. Okay. So these are bidding strategies in a nutshell. It is very useful. In case if you did not understand, please repeat this video, play this back, go back 10 minutes in time and start from the beginning, because it is extremely important, if you're planning to execute Google Ads to achieve your business objectives. I'll see you in the next module.